Fellow tennis nerds, I hope you are well. Let's talk about some pro player switches for 2025, then looking a little bit at 2026. And I want to hear your opinions. Who do you think will make a switch in next year's ATP WTA season? And if you have any other observations, let us know in the comments. Thanks if you subscribe and turn on the notifications of the channel. So this was a pretty intense year in terms of racket experimentation, a lot of pros testing, a lot of complaints about balls, wanting to get more power, people testing a lot of strings. That's been a theme, like looking for anything, a little bit extra, a bit more spin, a bit more depth. We had an interesting poll on tennisnerd.net, and we're gonna do more polls because it seemed to excite you about the most improved player in 2025. There were many to choose from. I might have leaned towards Lerner Tien, but also this guy, Alexander Bublik, was your favorite and a pretty logical choice. Like, the season he had in 2025 was nothing short of exceptional. And he did switch rackets, pretty famously, I would say, to Babolat Pure Aero 98. I did hear the story that he went out and bought a bunch himself, spray painted them black, and starting carving off some of the grommets because he wanted a bit of lighter weight. And obviously when you paint the racket on top of the paint, you're adding weight, so you really need to keep up with what you're doing. If you go to a professional like customizer or a person that paints rackets for you professionally, then they will sand down the original paint. But if you're gonna just paint it black with a spray can, it's a different story. So Bublik to the Aero, to many great results. Many players like the Aero, like to try it. It's the Alcaraz effect. Many players also try the speed. That's the Sinner effect. Those two effects are going strong. Why? Of course, because Alcaraz and Sinner, they're kind of dominating on the ATP tour. We don't have these kind of patterns on the WTA tour so much. We don't see as many changes, maybe more like towards sponsorships and stuff like that. But on the ATP tour, most pros and many that I talk to want to try the Sinner spec and the Alcaraz spec. So they want to try these rackets, and I think even Babolat might even be running out of rackets soon because there's so many who want to try the different Aeros. So Bublik, it worked for. The Aero is a great racket. I play with it myself. I find it a very exciting racket to play with. It has its issues, of course, a little bit wild at times, but it does give you that addictive kick on the ball and that like launch with a dip in, which I find it very rewarding to play with. New Aeros coming 2026. How will they perform? I've been testing them. I cannot really say anything about them, but I'm keen to hear if you have tried them. If you have any opinions, put them in the comments. I think towards January I will be able to publish something more. I'm testing them in the prototype paint right now, not the retail cosmetic. But interesting update. Definitely a pretty large update for next year. Pretty gutsy move from Babolat. To reply to this Aero craze, there's also a lot of V-cores out there on the market. New V-core in 2026. Wilson has to make a proper spin racket. The Shift didn't work out so well for them. Think they're discontinuing this one. I don't have the full confirmation on that one, but we haven't seen any pros switch to it. I know Sakari was trying it. We haven't seen any pros really go for the Shift. There was something a little bit off with it, although it had a promise. But they're going towards something more similar to the Aero, a little bit different throat. I've been testing this by the prototype name Python. Can't say anything more than that. There's been a bunch of different prototypes out to players of all kinds of levels, and it's been interesting to see. There's been some pros like Stefanos, like Kachanov, using this prototype from Wilson. Korda famously as well. These guys coming from Blades and Blade Pro rackets, more control-oriented rackets. And in Kachanov's case, using 1820 makes sense. Korda as well, I think 1820. Stefanos with 1620 in his case. So it's been an interesting thing to watch. Usually I get a little bit of a hint of what's happening in terms of the calendar or launches, but in this case, nothing, right? So will be interesting to see with the Wilson spin line. I have no idea what it's going to be called either, but the throat does look like an old Cobra, so I would say something snake inspired makes sense, but is there a good name with a snake in it? I don't know. Lerner Tien, what a year he had, like just moved up the rankings like wildfire, played amazing tennis, and towards the end of the season he makes a switch, which was kind of shocking. Also Blade Pro user, went to the Ultra, And is it an Ultra or is it a P25, which is kind of an odd or like not so famous pro stock from Wilson? Or is it Ultra Tour 98? The Japan-only version used by Kei Nishikori. The official retail version is 1819. The Pro Stock version, you can get it in different string patterns, and in Learner Tien's case, it's 1619. So interesting if he's made the switch, opened up the pattern, go for more power with the Ultra. This is not like Ultra 100 power or even Ultra 99 Pro power. It's a little bit less power than that, but more than his existing frame. So could be that one. I've heard from pretty reliable sources that it is. We will see. But Tien going really strong, now a top 30 player, amazing achievement in one season. As I said before, the speed is going strong. We have Hugo Humbert seen recently in pictures on a video on Instagram testing the speeds. Is it a testing phase? I'm not sure, because that's the full cosmetic, the full new cosmetic, black and white. What a shock. But he was not playing a blacked out frame, which is usually what the pros want to do. They don't want to piss off their sponsors and use like a very visibly different racket. They want to black them out. So he's been training with a speed. Is this a confirmed switch for him? Not sure, but we might see Hugo Humbert with the speed. And I've heard it's the thinner one, the 301.4 mold. There's also .5 with 1820, a few variations of that. But that's the slightly thinner speed than what they made later on, which with the 23mm beam. So these days the speeds are 23, the thinner mold is 22. Good to keep in mind. A little bit more control you're getting from it, still relatively powerful. Chorich also using this molded Borna Chorich, but he's been very much injured for 2025. The top 10, we've not seen that many racket switches. Zverev is a little bit all over the place, testing Gravity Tour for a while, Gravity Pro, which is a standard frame, his old Speed MP that became the Gravity mold. The Gravity Tour was the 100 version, not the 98. So he's been switching a bit, testing a lot of different string tensions, 20.4 and 21.1, and he's just searching for something, and he's very open to experimenting even during a match or trying different tensions. Daniil Medvedev has had the same approach this year, trying new strings. Last tension I saw him in Vienna was 21 kilos. So he's been testing a lot, but with Thomas Johansson as his coach, changed the team. He seems to have found his game again, playing a bit more attacking tennis, which I think is important for him than to be grinding at the back all the time. So doing better now. No new racket as far as I know, but there's been a lot of testing, so I might be wrong. If you have more information, feel free to share in the comments. Casper Ruud, late season change. The DR100 Plus was his racket. Very powerful frame. He needed to add a lot of shape on the ball, hit big targets. Was always his game style. Very comfortable on clay, Casper is, right? He used to play that kind of game, almost like Rafa trajectory on the ball. Now he switched to the DR98 Plus. I think it's the DR, I'm not 100% sure, but that makes most sense, which has a much lower trajectory of the ball. So here you can go for smaller targets. He won't get the same blast power or launch of the 100, but he will get better precision, can hit smaller targets, can be more attacking. And it really worked well for him towards the end of the season. He had some great results. Probably still extended, still the Plus version, but more interesting of a switch here, going from power to control. Most people are going for more power. And we have a recent video where we talk about the transition phase, going from like, you know, loving a Prestige or a Blade to this kind of Aero, V-Core, E-Zone type of racket. Another noticeable change when we're talking E-Zones is Madison Keys. Early in the season, she won the Australian Open with a new racket, the E-Zone 98, instead of her old Blade 98, which she used to play with. So interesting switch. Her season was good overall, tapered out a little bit towards the end, but started really strongly. First slam. The Wilson Steam is a super popular racket among the WTA Tour players. I can mention a bunch. I've done that before in previous videos, like Anisimova, Badosa, Raducanu, Andreeva, Ostapenko. But one player made a switch away from the Steam, and this was the Steam 99, and that's Elina Svitolina, who's gone to the Diadem Axis 98. Really surprising change to a smaller brand. However, her husband, Guy Monfils, did also do this type of switch, going to a decathlon racket, the Artengo Pro Tour, I think it's called, or Pro Control, some years back. So maybe she wanted to emulate his story. So what do we see in the crystal ball for 2026? There are a few PT57A players from Argentina that I think should consider other rackets. Francisco Cerundolo is using an extended PT57A with like a 380 strong swing weight. So it's like a beast of a racket, and you need to add this kind of weight to the PT57A, which is the name for the Head Pro Tour, 630 or 280 in the States, that so many players loved, like Tommy Haas, Gilles Simon, and the guys even like Popperin played with for a long time before he switched to the Dunlop FX500 Tour, which I think has worked well for Popperin. So I think it's time for Cerundolo. No matter how addictive the feel of this PT57 is, I have a bunch myself. I love this racket. It's a great racket, but you're getting nothing on the ball. It's like very flexible 1820 95 screen racket. So you need to bump up the swing weight to Murray territory, and that's what he's done. But I think he's gonna do better with something else. Even a radical, something with a bit more pop, maybe reduce the swing weight, be able to swing a bit faster. He has great technique. Backhand is not maybe as good as the forehand, but the forehand is a big weapon. So it would be interesting to see Francisco with something new. Same can be said for his countryman who's using the same racket, and not the exact same racket, but the same model, the PT57A, but lower swing weight on his racket. He has to work so hard to win points, and I think he would even play better with the Aero or a V-Core or something a little bit more aggressive, spin friendly, giving him more on the ball. Those are two examples. I think control rackets will have a tough time continuously on tours, both women's and men's tour, but many players still using blades, and I think we will see players slowly transitioning to Pythons, to Ultra Pro 99s, and to other types of more powerful rackets, maybe going to other brands and so on. This is what I think we will see in 2026. I think this trend will continue. But let me know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments. Check out recommended rackets, recommended strings, and our deals page on tennisnerd.net. That's it. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.